when they coming, the monsters they coming.
You feeling sick? You need a healing? Do you need a healing?
If you need some advice to live a better life, call Kelly Kincaid.
Kelly Kincaid.
Call Kelly Kincaid.
Kelly Kincaid.
Call Kelly Kincaid.
Kelly Kincaid.
If you're young or you're old, she got what you need for your mind, body, and soul. Yo, call Kelly Kincaid.
Kelly Kincaid.
Call Kelly Kincaid.
Kelly Kincaid.
It's First Aid with Kelly Kincaid on Sway in the Morning.
That's right, we do this every single week.
How I wish I could grow a mustache so that people would see me as cool. With a fashionable style and a furry smile, the ladies would drown in their drool. Oh, I wish I could grow a mustache so that people would think me a man. I'd work on a farm, have a rugged charm, and probably drive a white van. I wish I could form a mustache so that people would think I was snappy. I would keep it in trim, I would go to the gym. With some hair on my lip, I'd be happy. How I long for a mustache so that people would think I was smart. I would hypothesize that a mustache is wise, and then show my results in a chart. I wish I could own a mustache, so that people would think me their friend. With a jolly old tash, I would sure be a smash, and a man on which you could depend.
All right, it's First Aid with Kelly Kincaid. We do it every single week. We want to help you improve your life, your lifestyle, mind, body, spirit. And today we got a very special guest with us. Good morning, Kelly Kincaid.
Good morning. You know, Sway, I love to bring in laughter, and I know you looked at me like, what's that about, a mustache? You know, this, and you know, I want to welcome my guest, Doug Prusoff. You know, we have Movember, and you know, I loved the whole movement of this with your organization, because we're talking about men's health and Mobros. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
So I started off the segment about mustaches, and Movember, and the month of November is all about growing mustaches. Tell me a little bit about your organization.
Yeah, so the Movember Foundation, we're the leading global charity, and our main goal is to change the face of men's health, and we do that both physically by getting guys to grow mustaches, but the deeper meaning behind it is really trying to use that mustache as a conversation starter to get guys talking about men's health issues, thinking about them a little bit differently, and taking action in their own life to keep themselves both physically and mentally healthy and happy. And
this organization is over 21 countries, and what I love about it is that this started off just as a conversation and admiration of women who really go hard in May for breast cancer awareness. So it was guys who were just in a bar, chopping it up.
Started as a conversation in a bar talking about mustaches, and the first year that they grew those mustaches, they realized that it was just this unbelievable conversation starter. So as that next year rolled around, like you said, we're really inspired by breast cancer awareness and the pink ribbon movement and everything you see out there for women's health. And quite honestly, there was just nothing like that out there for men's health. No one was talking about it, and for sure no one was fundraising for it in any significant way.
What kind of topics did y'all discuss?
Yeah, so under that banner of men's health, we focus on a couple areas programmatically. So we have prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health, and suicide prevention.
What have you found the reason why we don't tend to want to talk about prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health, and suicide prevention? What did you discuss that?
Yeah, so I think it's really one of the biggest issues impacting men. Is I think a lot of guys grow up being really taught and conditioned to, you know, be a man, power through this stuff, don't talk about these things, don't address them, and because of that attitude, men die on average 6 years earlier than women do.
Oh, can let's talk to a few men in the room right now.
With mustaches, the ones with mustaches.
Well, we all have a mustache.
Oh, great.
Yeah, okay. Have you ever had a conversation about prostate cancer, OQ? You're in your 30s.
With a conversation with anybody?
Yeah, just like in general, like amongst friends or...
No, that's nothing. Prostate cancer doesn't come up, you know, amongst me and my friends. I just read about it online or what have you, and, you know, I take the necessary steps on my own, but I don't sit and discuss with any other dude.
DB or Wonder, you guys, have y'all ever had this conversation?
Cancer does run in my family, so with my grandfather passed away from it. My mother had a bout with it. So I'm kind of like one of the few males in the family, though. So I guess they didn't know how to bring it up to me because they only knew about it from a woman's perspective. So I mean, we really haven't had that many conversations about it.
What about you, Wonder?
Yeah, same thing. Runs in my family. All I can think about is just honestly, I just think about a finger going in your butt. That's the first thing I think of, and I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time. So,
you know what I mean? Hello, hey, he's ready to get checked out today, Doc. But that's one of the things why we don't talk about it, particularly that procedure in terms of prostate cancer to kind of detect it. It's just for a lot of men who have mustaches, that's just something, a hard hurdle for them to get over. How do we get over getting over that hurdle?
Well, I think a really important thing to realize is that that's not the only test that exists out there for prostate cancer. So what we recommend as an organization is that getting that baseline PSA blood test by the age of 50 for all men, and then if you're African American or you have a family history of it, your incident rates are significantly higher. So recommend having that by the age of 45.
By the age of 45.
Yeah.
Okay, and testicular cancer.
Testicular cancer is a young man's cancer, and I think a lot of people don't realize that it's the most common form of cancer for men 15 to 35. So we have an awareness campaign that we run with a pretty simple call to action of know thy nuts. And for the guys out there, all you have to do is just do regular self-exams, and if something doesn't feel right, making sure that you're going to the doctor and getting it checked out.
And that should be easy because guys are jerking off all the time.
You're down there anyway. You might as well just do a check.
Know thy nuts. OQ?
No, I was just wondering, what does the regular, self-exam consist of?
Yeah, so it's really just taking 2 fingers and rubbing it around the testicle, and it should feel like a rubber ball. If you feel something hard, something feels like it isn't supposed to be there, go to the doctor and get it checked out. Hopefully it's nothing, but if it is something, the earlier you get it treated, the earlier you start that path, the more successful outcomes you'll have.
Can you imagine this being a sack of nuts? Can you demonstrate how? Well, hold on, let me take this.
We should bring out the mystery sack.
Yeah, bring out the mystery sack. Can you demonstrate how that examination will work?
Oh, nice and easy. Just
Doug
2
Prusoff,
fingers, rubbing around down there, and it's really as simple as that.
So women can test on their dudes in a sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
Got you. I'm on it, Carl.
So, Doug, what I found interesting is you joined the company after, was it someone in your family that was dealing with this? What made you join Movember and be such a great spokesperson? Because when you were in college, you actually was one of the highest fundraisers. So what made you join the organization?
Yeah, so when I first started, honestly, part of it was a good excuse to grow a mustache. But then as I really started getting connected to the organization and seeing some of these issues that we are raising funds and awareness around, just realized how much it impacted me, my friends, my family, these groups that I care about. You see stats like 1 out of 9 men are going to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. I played lacrosse in college, so it's like that's a lot of my teammates. That's a lot of people I care about. And then the mental health side of things is something that has always been a really big deal for me as well. And had a brother who's been diagnosed bipolar, had some issues with suicide and some suicidal thoughts in his life, but really got to see the impact for him of what happens when you do speak up and you do reach out and let people know that you need a little help, need a little support. And I've been fortunate to see him go from probably his darkest place to now a father of 3 kids and having this beautiful life. So it's things like that keep me motivated to spread that conversation and get more people aware and involved.
Being that it was your brother, did you find it like peculiar that he was diagnosed and you weren't? Or, because a lot of people think that it's hereditary, or if you get diagnosed as by being bipolar or having mental health issues. You didn't have the same diagnosis or
no,
same
so
issues?
I've been really fortunate with my own mental health in my life, and I think it's a really important thing to understand is that you could have the same parents, the same background, go to the same schools, do all this stuff, but everybody's dealing with their own issues and dealing with them in their own ways. So whether it's something like bipolar or something like anxiety or depression, these are things that impact all of us. And I think the more that guys can realize that they're not isolated, they're not the only person that's feeling this way, and they can reach out and take steps to keep themselves mentally happy, that's what the foundation's all about at the end of the day.
We have Dr. Doug Prusoff is here. The Movember Foundation is the leading global charity addressing some of these big health issues: prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health, and suicide prevention. You have any questions? This man is a professional. What you would pay if you had to go see him in his office is totally different than what you would have to pay now. You can ask questions for free. 888-742-3345. What is your social media?
My best friend Doug, and then and anything at Movember as well.
Okay, at Movember, and then my best friend Doug. You can hit him up directly. We'll come with Sway in the Morning Shade 4-5.
What's your name? Them get at you yesterday?
These nuts.
Aw, shut up, nigga.
A common passion that is determined for change.
A movement can be sparked by something pretty unlikely. We are Movember.
We grow a moustache or challenge ourselves to get physically active and move for the 30 days of November to raise awareness and funds for men's health.
We were born over a few beers in a bar in Australia.
We are now in over 21 countries, making us the largest men's health movement in the world.
We are more bros, and we are at our strongest when we stay true to who we are. Real men, talking about real issues.
We sign up at Movember.com in October and raise funds in Movember for prostate cancer, testicular cancer, poor mental health, and physical inactivity.
All right, we got Doug Prusoff, who's not a doctor, but he's a senior manager of corporate and community development for the Movember Foundation. He spent the last 6 years guiding the nation's highest corporate, community, and university fundraisers on their Movember journey. We're talking about prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health, and suicide prevention. We got a few people on the phone line that I think we should talk to. Maybe you could give them some advice and direction, okay?
Cool.
You cool with that? All right, good, man.
As long as people realize that I'm not a doctor.
Yes, indeed. Okay, cool. All right, we got, let me see, Z from Colorado. Go ahead, Z.
Yeah, hey, how you guys doing today? Thank you so much.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Hey, I've just, honestly, I've been back from Fallujah, Iraq since around 2006. I got back, and I've done everything. I quit drinking. I did my VA appointments. I have a 5-year-old son, and right now, pretty much what's going on is my son's mother and her family are ganging up against me. They've even pretty much turned my own sister against me, telling me that I have all these problems, that I have these mental health issues. So I go down to the VA in Colorado, and they told me I need to get a psychological evaluation, where I was put on a 3-day hold. But first I was beat up in a hospital before I got put on a hold, a 72-hour hold at the VA. And right now, and then as soon as I get out of the VA, I get court papers saying that I'm now I have to have 14 days to get custody over my son. And I've honestly, and I'm sorry for venting so much, but honestly, I work a lot with veterans. I've worked a lot with my whole life is veterans, and right now what these people are doing, I feel like, are literally destroying everything I've worked for. Not only that, but disrespecting a veteran. And I feel like, mentally, like, this is so hard, because not only mentally but emotionally for me, because I love my son. I want him to have the best life I have. And these people have literally create so much lies. I have actually had to study, like, what exactly they're doing to me. And I'm gonna say something that's kind of out there, but I studied the CIA and a thing called psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I mention that is because when there's a difference between like abusing somebody, and I believe abuse is something that happens from people that are usually come from abusive families, and they kind of hurt each other. Sometimes they say mean things or they do things, but these people know that I have PTS, so that I deal with it, and they're actually using this against me to hurt me, and I feel like it's more of a form of psychological warfare.
Okay, so let me ask you, Z, and I appreciate you sharing this story, and I appreciate your service to this country. And we have, over the years, I've done work with MTV, and where we dealt with a lot of folks coming back from the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And they're suffering from PTSD or TBI, traumatic brain injury, and don't know where to go, can't get a certain amount of help that they need, the health care that they need. A lot of them are trying to distance themselves, because that comes with a stigma that makes it hard for you to function in everyday society. In the case of Z, you get a lot of folks that may, I don't know if you've been diagnosed, how extensive you've been diagnosed, Z, but in this case, he got them trying to take his kid away from him. What advice would you give him? I'm sure you've come across this once or twice in your work.
Yeah, and again, first off, just want to thank you for sharing that story out there. And I think, Sway, you hit on a lot of the issues that come up with something like this. And I think for us as a foundation, a main focus is really trying to reduce the stigma around these mental health issues, and you taking those steps that you need to take proactively to really put yourself in a position to be physically, mentally, emotionally happy out there is definitely what you need to be doing. But
what are those steps? What's some of those steps you would suggest for Z to take?
So I think, accessing some of the resources there at the VA, but something that the foundation is really focused on is providing additional resources and support. And I think what we found is, groups like military veterans and people that have been impacted by maybe gang violence or indigenous communities that are at higher risk for these mental health issues, really working on these community-based interventions, because it's not something that you're going to be able to solve on your own as an individual, but really bringing these communities together to work on these issues and really just create a better and deeper understanding of what is going to work best for you, and it's an individual thing for everyone going.
Right. So Doug, he's in Colorado. Is there a number he can call that maybe Movember could give him an organization to talk to?
Yeah, so if you go on Movember's website under our mental health sections, we have a number of different resources that we refer people out to. So if you go check out Movember.com, and then we'll be able to get you some proper information from there.
Z, so do me a favor, maybe if you could check out this organization or continue to research others as well, but maybe it's something this organization could give you or offer you, or even resources to help you deal with this situation you're going through. And then check back in with us, man. We wish you the best, man. You're a citizen.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, thank you so much. I just want to say one more thing. Hey, can I say one more thing?
Well, hold on the line, okay? Hold on the line. All right. We got Frank from Austin. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Sway. Hey, man, first-time caller.
My man Frank is Frank, y'all. First-timer. Frank, what's going on? Say hello to Doug Prusoff.
Frank. Hey, what's up, man? I want to first and foremost, I want to say thank you, man. Like, this is such a huge thing you're doing, just because there's not enough awareness in the community itself for any kind of race. Like, I come from a Latino background, and the first thing that we go to if we think that something's going on with the person is prayer. And, like, don't get me wrong, I believe in God and everything, but there's only so much that we can do by prayer and then actually addressing the situation. My experience is actually, I have somebody that I got with, and we had a baby together. And after the fact, I figured out that her family on her dad's side suffers from schizophrenia. And my biggest fear is that, somewhere down the line of the genetic, lineage that we may be. So it's pretty about it. Like, you live your whole life that you're not affected, and then all of a sudden it becomes something that's in your life, and it could be pretty real, pretty fast.
You think your kid might suffer from it, or the kid's mom?
Well, that's well, in the back of my mind, both, man. Like, that's the biggest scary thing, Sway. Like, I think about it like every single day. I work as a salesman in Austin for Enterprise, and like, I work with all kinds of different personalities, and you see all these people that have mental health issues, and then you start seeing like certain things in your significant other that you start wondering, and you don't know if it's you, or you're just coming up with things in your head. You start being paranoid, and you're like, oh, I wonder if she's like bipolar. I wonder if she starts getting signs, because if she gets diagnosed with it, then it's a whole thing where we have to address it, and I'm very on top of my things.
I get that, Frank. I get that. And in his case, he's not the one that's actually been diagnosed, or potentially he feels at least can suffer from something like schizophrenia. But a lot of times you got friends and family members that are dealing with individuals who are dealing with that. What advice would you give to them?
Yes, I think one of the biggest things that we talk about as a foundation is what we call the ALEC model, and really just being there to ask people, ask them what they're going through, ask them how they're feeling, how they're doing, and really listen and not come from a place of judging them on it, but really allow them the opportunity to open up honestly, talk about what they're experiencing there. And then the next thing is really encouraging action if you think it's needed. And then continuing to check in, continuing to really have that conversation. Because I think a lot of times, a lot of these conversations are left unhad, and we have some of these feelings inside, but we don't reach out and provide the opportunity to talk about them. So I think that would be the biggest thing there is these concerns can be scary, but making sure to have some of these conversations, to confront it head on, and even if it ends up being a little bit difficult in the time, I think it pays dividends in the long run.
So he should be talking to her about his concerns.
I think from my perspective, I think having a conversation around this stuff is really important and helpful.
Doug Prusoff, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, and so before we end, for Movember, you celebrate the 30 days of November. Are there any events around the world, because you all are a global charity, raising a lot of dollars for all these conditions that you all are raising for research? Anything around the world or any in the New York area or in the States that people can go to?
Yeah, absolutely. So if people are interested in finding out more about the organization and hopefully getting involved, as this is our biggest fundraising and awareness month, just go to Movember.com, check it out. You'll be able to see local events. You can sign up, you can participate, you can fundraise or make a donation to help us stop men from dying too young.
I appreciate you, Doug Prusoff. Thank you, Kelly Kincaid. You can reach her at
Kelly Kincaid, KELLYKINKAID.
And for more, go ahead and hit up Doug Prusoff. Hit him. My friend, what is it?
My best friend Doug, or get at us at Movember, #Movember.
Okay, thank you, man. I appreciate you, man. That's valuable information. Up next, Riff Raff is here. He got a new project. You want to talk with Riff Raff? 888-742-3345.